In this video, we are going to start our look at the types of effects and signal processors that can be applied to your guitar via the various pedals that come with hardcore. We will begin with the dynamic processors. In simple terms, dynamics refers to processing that is used to control the audio levels. There are two dynamic processors that we'll look at in this video: the compressor and the noise gate. Without having to get into a full-blown tutorial on the fundamentals of compression, a compressor is used to level out the audio so the loud passages have their levels reduced so that the difference between the quiet passages and the louder passages are reduced to a more consistent level. In hardcore, this can be useful when working with a cleaner guitar tone, where the levels can fluctuate a fair amount, whereas more of the distorted tones will have compression applied to them naturally by the characteristics of distortion. So for the demonstration, I'm going to apply a compressor to a clean guitar sound. Let's start by adding the compressor to an empty slot on the pedal board. The compressor has only 4 controls, which are commonly found in most compressors. The threshold parameter plays a huge part in the compression process. This will set the level at which the compressor will begin reducing the output level of the compressor. That is, whenever the audio passes this value, the compressor will begin to work. The ratio parameter will control how much the audio should be reduced after the audio has passed the threshold. The higher the ratio, the more the audio is reduced. The final 2 parameters will control how fast the compressor reacts in reducing the levels as well as returning the levels to normal if and after the audio has fallen back to below the threshold. The attack parameter will control how fast the audio will be reduced when the compressor kicks in. Setting this too fast may create a pumping effect where you can hear the audio being reduced rather quickly. The release parameter will dictate how fast the compressor will bring the volume back to its normal level after the audio has fallen under the threshold level. Just as with the attack parameter, having a setting that is too low here can create the pumping effect commonly associated with compressors, whereas slower times will result in a smoother transition to the audio changing levels. Of course, there are no fixed rules for these speed controls. It will largely depend on the style of music that is being played. The second dynamics processor that we'll cover is the noise gate. The processor, for some guitarists, is a very important part of the signal chain. Often used in the first slot, the noise gate will essentially mute everything that falls below the threshold level. Typically, guitars are noisy, and I mean when they are not being played. The circuitry will create a noise floor that is, in some cases, humming, and in others, interference. These sounds cannot typically be heard when the guitar player is playing. If the guitar player was to stop playing, say in between songs in a live situation, then this noise will be heard, and if using any distortion processing, the noise can be amplified even more. Place the noise gate in the first slot and turn up the volume on your guitar as loud as it can go. You should begin to hear the noise of your guitar. With the noise gate, begin lowering the threshold till the noise is no longer heard. The noise gate is muting all the noise. As soon as you start playing, the audio will go beyond the threshold level and the gate will open and your guitar will be heard. The attack and release settings work much in the same way as they did with the compressor. The attack dictates how fast the gate will open and the audio will be heard once it rises above the threshold level. The release time will determine how fast the gate will close after the audio drops below the threshold level. Longer attack and release times will make the gate sound less choppy, but it can result with more noise getting through. It is recommended to play around with the attack and release settings till you are happy with a balance of a smooth gate as well as little noise as possible. So, in this video, we took a look at the two dynamic processor pedals in hardcore. In the next video, we'll continue our look at the pedals with the distortion pedal.